What if a family feud could headline an entire wrestling event in Italy? Welcome to the Clash in Italy. Hi, I'm Leah, feeling pumped up for today's topic.
And I'm Garrett, ready to explore this wrestling spectacle. Welcome to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
Today is all about Clash in Italy 2026, WWE's first ever pay-per-view in Italy, a milestone event out of Turin's Inalpi Arena that mixed family stakes, championships, and some real controversy.
Okay, here's where I start. I once went to a small local wrestling show at a community gym. Nothing fancy. Two wrestlers got into a tiny argument over a handshake that never happened, and across a few shows, it spiraled into a headline match with a no-rules stipulation. The whole crowd got hooked on something that started as a little slight. That's pretty cool, right? The reason I bring it up is because wrestling stories, even at the biggest level, often hinge on relationships and respect. When you scale that up to family dynamics, the stakes feel huge. So when Clash in Italy built its main event around Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu, who are cousins from the famed Anoa'i wrestling family, it tapped that same emotional current: family honor, leadership, legacy. It's like a TV drama where an argument at the dinner table ends up in a season finale showdown, and placing that chapter in Italy gave it this off-the-beaten-path energy that made it feel special.
Let's open the book on this. Clash in Italy was a WWE pay-per-view, also called a premium live event, which just means a big show you buy through pay services or stream. It was held in May 2026 in Turin. WWE pulled talent from both of its main weekly shows, Raw and SmackDown, so think two casts crossing over for a special. There were 5 matches total, and the headline was Roman Reigns defending Raw's World Heavyweight Championship against Jacob Fatu under Tribal Combat rules. Tribal Combat, in simple terms, is a no disqualification match tied to the Anoa'i family story. Weapons and brawling are allowed, and in this case, both the championship and the family's tribal chief status were on the line. That is a double crown of sorts, one with official gold and one with emotional weight. The show aired globally across different platforms, with ESPN carrying a simulcast of the first hour in the United States, while the full digital stream in the US was on ESPN's streaming service. Internationally, it ran on Netflix in most markets, SuperSport in Sub-Saharan Africa, and Abema in Japan, so it was truly worldwide.
Here's a thought I've been turning over. If you are new to wrestling, storylines are like arcs on an episodic show. Writers set goals, plant seeds on weekly episodes, and then big beats land on these pay-per-views. Kayfabe is the term for keeping that world consistent, even though outcomes are predetermined, so you get athletic performance blended with character drama. In Italy, the drama had been brewing for months. WWE President Nick Khan first announced in September 2025 that the company would finally bring a major event to Italy. Then in February 2026, Paul Triple H Levesque, the chief content officer, confirmed the name Clash in Italy and locked in the same venue for the next night's Monday Night Raw. That back-to-back setup kept momentum in Turin, and it also made production sense. Equipment stays in place, the crowd stays hot, and stories can pivot right away.
Let's get to the heart of it. The family story at the top featured Roman Reigns, longtime centerpiece of WWE and the World Heavyweight Champion on Raw, facing Jacob Fatu, his cousin, who came in hot as a challenger. Their feud escalated after Backlash, where Reigns had retained the title, and Fatu attacked him after the bell. That attack set a tone of disrespect and danger. On Raw, the tension rose and even authority figures got pulled in. Eventually, Fatu challenged Reigns to tribal combat, and Reigns accepted. So not only the title, but the tribal chief status in their family story would be decided in Turin.
Speaking of which, the undercard had layered threads too. Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion, got locked into a showdown with Gunther, the dominant powerhouse who had been owed a favor by Paul Heyman. Heyman, for context, is a legendary manager and strategist in WWE, and that favor started when Gunther saved him from an attack by Seth Rollins on Raw in late March. That IOU turned into contract games and a contenders match involving a rising name, Royce Keys, before Gunther finally stood as Cody's challenger. Meanwhile, Rhea Ripley, the WWE Women's Champion, had her ongoing rivalry with Jade Cargill. Cargill returned and ambushed Ripley during a multi-woman tag, with B-Fab and Mission stacking the numbers against Ripley, and Charlotte Flair later neutralized them. On another front, Sol Ruca, a spectacularly athletic newcomer, crashed into Becky Lynch, a decorated veteran and the then Women's Intercontinental Champion. Their spark came from a chaotic contract signing on Raw, where a punch missed and hit the general manager, Adam Pearce, and then a messy disqualification at Saturday night's main event set the stage for their pay-per-view clash. Then there was Brock Lesnar, who had seemed to retire at WrestleMania 42 by leaving his gloves and boots in the ring, only to roar back in May 2026 by attacking Obafemi, the powerhouse who had been running weekly open challenges. Within minutes, a contract for Lesnar versus Femi at Clash in Italy was live, which was a real curveball and gave the card a shock factor match that critics would later rave about.
Why did WWE simulcast the first hour on ESPN in the US? What do you think the logic was there?
Funnel strategy, basically. Put the show in front of a broad sports audience to spark interest, then steer them to the pay platform for the rest. It also normalizes WWE content on a traditional sports channel. Announced on SmackDown 9 days prior, it gave casual viewers a no-friction way to sample the event and maybe jump to the stream as the stakes ramped up. And that checks out with how media partners grow crossover events.
Production-wise, the show underlined how international it was. Michael Cole and Corey Graves handled English commentary, Marcelo Rodriguez and Jerry Soto handled Spanish, and Michelle Apoza and Luca Franchini brought Italian commentary. Alicia Taylor was the ring announcer who introduced the titles and the rules, including the tribal combat stipulation, and a crew of referees kept order. Danilo Anfibio, Jason Ayers, Jessica Carr, Dan Engler, and Chad Patton. The pre-show panel also leaned into that mainstream bridge, with ESPN's Joe Tessitore, WWE star Big E, analyst Corey Graves pulling double duty, and broadcaster Peter Rosenberg setting the table. Little details, but together they signaled WWE really wanted this one to feel like a global broadcast.
All right, let's roll on to the results. Cody Rhodes kicked off the night against Gunther. Cody won to retain the undisputed WWE Championship after a Cody Cutter and Crossroads sequence. But here's the twist that lit up social feeds. Gunther's foot was under the bottom rope during the final pin, and the broadcast cameras confirmed it. In wrestling, a rope break should nullify the pin, so the call was a miss, and the decision stood, which added a layer of controversy people kept chewing on. Next, Rhea Ripley defended against Jade Cargill. Cargill had B-Fab and Mission in her corner trying to tilt the odds, but Charlotte Flair ran in to neutralize them. Cargill still managed to hit Jaded, her finishing slam, but Ripley survived and answered with Riptide for the win, giving Ripley a clear sequel victory to their WrestleMania 42 clash.
Brock Lesnar against Obafemi was a sprint with impact. Lesnar opened with 4 F5s right away, which is his signature spinning slam. Femi powered out of multiple Kimura lock attempts. The Kimura is a shoulder and elbow joint submission, and fought back hard, going for fall from grace, his big move, but Lesnar countered into another F5 and took it. That marked Femi's first loss on the main roster. Critics were divided on the booking, meaning the decision of who wins, since Femi had a lot of momentum. Some argued that the loss came too soon, while others praised how strong he still looked and how electric the match felt, and I get both sides of that. It stings to see a streak end, but the match itself had a pulse that really worked.
Then Sol Ruca faced Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Ruca brought the scouting report, not gonna lie. At one point, she avoided the manhandle slam, hit a diving X-Factor, and later she even used the manhandle slam on Lynch herself, before landing the Soul Snatcher to win the title. That's a clean crowning moment. Using a veteran's own move as a setup before your finisher reads like a passing of the torch beat. It shows preparation and poise under pressure, and for a rising star, that is huge.
Main event time, Roman Reigns against Jacob Fatu in tribal combat. They brawled through the crowd and the weapons came out. Reigns specifically targeted Fatu's hand with a toolbox, and that mattered because Fatu uses the Tongan death grip, a crushing throat grip. Damaging the hand blunts the power and control of that move. Fatu tried to fire that grip several times, but the damage undercut the holds. Reigns went for exposed turnbuckles, spears through a corner table, and finally stacked a table spot and a last spear for the win. He kept the World Heavyweight Championship and the Tribal Chief mantle. Brutal, decisive, and very much within the anything goes rules they set.
As for reception, most critics were positive. Several matches drew grades in the B to A+ range, and Alfred Konuwa at Forbes and Adam Silverstein at CBS Sports were especially high on the card, praising Lesnar versus Femi as a standout. Eric Beeston at Bleacher Report and Thomas Hall at 411 Mania questioned parts of the booking, especially Femi taking his first loss there, and Scott Slimmer at 411 Mania felt the show, while Good missed a couple of landmark moments. I kinda get that. It did a lot right, but it also left threads dangling for Raw the next night.
Let's dig deeper into one thread. Should Cody versus Gunther have been restarted once that foot under the rope was clear? For me, real talk. Fairness matters. A rope break is a rule, and rules are there to keep the contest credible. I would have liked to see the match restarted on the spot, or at least an immediate promise of a rematch under clean conditions, because if the camera angle shows it, then fans know it, and leaving it unresolved can feel like a loose page in the book.
I hear you. I'm down for fairness. I also think controversy is part of what keeps episodic stories humming. A disputed call gives you heat for the rematch. It gives Gunther a righteous grievance, and it gives Cody a reason to say, let's run it back. In sports entertainment, a little imperfection becomes narrative fuel, so while a restart in the moment would have been clean, the missed call might deliver a bigger payoff down the line. That's worth exploring.
Why does that kind of controversy work so well here? Is it just attention, or is there more to it?
A bit more. It blurs the line between the scripted world and the rules of competition. When a call feels real enough to debate, it pulls people into the story. You're not only cheering a character, you're advocating for a correction, and that activates fans in a different way. It sets up the next chapter with momentum already attached.
Switching gears just a little. In pop culture terms, this show mattered. First ever WWE pay-per-view in Italy is a big nod to Italian fans and European market growth, and paired with the next night's Raw in the same arena, it kept the spotlight right there in Turin. The ESPN simulcast in the US also put WWE shoulder to shoulder with traditional sports for that first hour, which signals deeper integration into mainstream sports media. Wild, but it worked.
All right, let's kick around a what if. What if the referee had caught Gunther's foot under the rope? The pin is nullified, the match restarts, and momentum shifts. Cody had just hit his big combo, so a restart might have slowed his roll and let Gunther grind the pace. Imagine Gunther chopping Cody down, setting traps, and maybe hitting a powerbomb stack to close. If Gunther won there, SmackDown would wake up to a new undisputed champion standing over a controversy-free finish, which flips the next month of TV. Cody would be the one calling for a rematch, and Gunther would be the champion choosing terms. Maybe a stipulation like no rope breaks to remove the debate, which is deliciously ironic.
And if Gunther had taken the title, it could have rebalanced the card around heavier striking and methodical defenses. His style is precise, almost chess-like, and that could steer challengers to adapt, which is fun in a long arc. Cody then becomes the chaser again, and chasers are easy to root for. On the flip side, keeping the belt on Cody with a cloud overhead guarantees a rematch that feels personal. Either path gets drama, but they are different flavors.
So there we have it. Italy's first WWE pay-per-view delivered family stakes, title defenses, a breakout win for Sol Ruca, and a couple of talking points that keep the story rolling.
Stay curious and catch you next time on Laid Back Learning.